Hello and good evening. It is Thursday, October 28th, 2021, and Star Trek Prodigy Season 1, Episode 1, Lost and Found is over. But we're just getting started here on Live Long and Podcast. I'm Dave Maynard coming at you with Star Trek TV and movie reviews as we're going to break this down. And I got a great panel that I'm in cat boots with to break this all down tonight. So excited to talk with the newest iteration of Star Trek with these fine folks, both parents of young children, which should be very appropriate as this is a new Star Trek show, an animated show that is aimed at children. First, we've got Jessica Chan. How are you doing tonight, Jessica?
Good. How are you?
I'm well. I'm excited to talk about this. Next, locutors of Trek and my second cousin, we got Davan Skelhorn.
How's it going? It's a good episode.
Lots to talk about.
I did watch it with my little wee one, though. She's too young to really look at a screen for more than a few seconds at a time, but she was there.
She just needs the translator. That's all that's needed. You know,
that's true.
They take the translators away, and then it doesn't work. So we're gonna get through this, or we're gonna talk about this episode that I just finished a few minutes ago. It streams in the States on CBS or Paramount Plus, I guess is what they call it now. The CBS All Access became Paramount Plus, and in Canada, it's airing where we are. It's airing on CTV Sci-Fi Channel. I guess it's 6 p.m. So that's a good thing. If you have that channel. So we're breaking this all down. We have a new show, new characters, new ship. Not a lot of still to learn, I think. But let's start with Davan. What did you think of just overall impression? Were you up on the episode?
I was. There was a lot of surprises. For some reason, I didn't think for a second it would be in the Delta Quadrant, which it seems to be. I thought
we had a Kazon.
Seems to be really. I mean, I guess it's not surprising since Janeway's in it, but it's going to be a lot of nods to Voyager, I think, and I caught a lot of nods to Voyager even in this first episode, and I think that's nice because Lower Decks is kind of like the nods to TNG show.
Yes, and I would agree with that.
Okay, hopefully DS9 gets its nod show soon. Maybe perhaps starring Captain Worf.
Perhaps. Fingers crossed. I've been holding on for that for over a decade. Jessica, how was this show for you? Did you watch it with your little one, or
I did not. She was pretty much like Coco Melon all the time, so not something she would sit through. But I definitely felt she was well represented with Rok-Tahk. I was like, that's my giant, destructive, adorable, cute little voice.
Yes, it becomes that once the translator comes through.
Rok-Tahk, so cute. I liked it. I felt like it definitely has a different vibe than like everything else in the Star Trek universe, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing, especially who like the target demographic was. But I thought it was a lot of fun, and I'm interested to see I feel like they had a little bit for everyone, like kind of introducing kids to maybe who've never watched Star Trek before, and then a little bit for like parents that might be watching with them that have watched Voyager, and at the end you're like, oh look, like it's Janeway, like exciting, what's the mystery, how'd that ship get there? So
the USS Protostar.
Very nice.
Very nice. Let's talk about this. So the premise of the show is a group of lawless teens. I guess it's a prison break show too. They were all in like this prison colony together, like kind of like a Rura Pente, Davan.
Yeah, a mining. They're using the prison labor for mining, like for Rura
mining,
Pente, but a bit more habitable than Rura Pente. Luckily,
yeah. Not the criminal's graveyard or whatever they called it in Star Trek 6. But it wasn't, but not a nice place necessarily. And we get this new, we meet our main character, I guess the lead of the show, which is Dalrell, as played by Brett Gray. And I guess this character is all about, we don't know his species, and neither does he. It's kind of his origins are a mystery, Jessica. He doesn't know his past. He's got some kind of tail growing out of the back of his head. That's kind of his thing. And there was kind of like this big metal android guy who was harassing him for a lot. What species are you?
Wow, getting personal, borderline inappropriate. Okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
I kind of like
Funny
that.
thing about that guy is his name was Dreadnought, but I thought they were saying Dreadnought for a while, and I was just like, oh my god, is that Dreadnought, like the sentient torpedo that B'Elanna made in that episode? Because I'm looking for Voyager references.
You're looking for
But-
it's a close. It's a
but-
close. Dreadnought.
I was very excited for a second about that, though.
Has
That,
played Dreadnought. Sorry.
that whole opening sequence with him, and honestly, if I didn't know what I was watching when I clicked to watch it, I would have thought this was the new Star Wars show. I was like, whoa, like what's the General Grievous over there, and like what's going on, and what planet is this? It definitely had like a Star Wars feel, especially with the robot overlord.
Yes, Dreadnought. Yeah, well, that's a point well taken, Jessica, because like I do think that this show, this Star Trek Prodigy show, is a direct response to Star Wars shows like Clone Wars and other things that they put out over the last, I guess, 15 years, like Dave Filoni and those people who were part of those shows, and it's considered to be some of the best Star Wars content recently, certainly. And it's brought in a whole new generation that wasn't necessarily pulled into even the prequel movies or into the new trilogy that came out. But like I think, the Millards, Ashley and Kevin, who are on a lot of our podcasts, like their three sons, in particular, one of their boys, I think is super into that Clone Wars show. And I think that Star Trek is realizing if they want to, if this franchise is going to endure, they have to bring in new people. New generations, because I think it's just like it was maybe it was hard for us to watch original series when we were growing up. In some ways, I think that maybe watching things like Next Gen and Deep Space Nine are hard for them too. Davan, would you agree with that?
I think that's a point well taken, though. I do think streaming did bring a lot of new audience in to a lot of those shows.
Yep.
I think the numbers were supporting that, as much numbers as you can get from Netflix and things like that. But yeah,
and this Dreadnought character, this like General Grievous, is voiced by Jimmy Simpson, no relation to Jodie, who is a well-known actor who he's been on Westworld in particular. He plays the young version. Well, I don't want to spoil anything, but from Westworld. But he's on Westworld and he's quite good on it. And he was in an episode of like Black Mirror. He was kind of one of the people who gets captured by this guy. He's kind of like his partner who he had issues with. They'd remember that it was kind of like the Star Trek episode of Black Mirror. If you've seen that,
I remember that. That was a good episode.
Yeah, he's in that too. So quite the cast in this show. Maybe I just want to, there's sort of like the guest cast and everything, but we also have like just our main cast if we want to just kind of dwell on them for a minute. And so we've
John
talked about
Noble, right?
John Noble is the voice of what's his name, Jessica? The Inquisitor?
The Diviner.
The Diviner, who's the father of Gwyn, who is voiced by Ella Purnell. We have this character Murph, who is done by D. Bradley Baker, who doesn't seem to speak words.
Squeaks, that's funny.
Squeaks.
Maybe he'll get a translator eventually.
He's also Perry the Platypus, is too, and Phineas and Ferb, who does not talk. So that's kind of on definitely.
Yeah, Davan, we got Zero as voiced by Angus Imrie. Zero is a Medusan.
Yeah, very cool.
I just watched recently on our Monday night podcast. We talk about Star Trek: The Original Series all the time, and we've been watching every episode not in order. And one of the last episodes we just recently did was "Is There in Truth No Beauty?" which features a Medusan character who an ambassador who has to who can't, if you look at him you will go mad with your bare eyes. Spock he almost goes mad by seeing him, but does not. So this Medusan is kind of inside of like an encounter suit, because Medusans are non-corporeal, they don't have bodies. We got Jankum Pog, who is this Tellarite character, as done by Jason Mantzoukas from like The League and a bunch of different shows. A very funny actor, and I thought quite good in this. And then we have this very only 10 years old, or I guess probably even 9 years old when she recorded her lines for this. In all, like we got Rok-Tahk. It's done by Riley
Alizraki.
Alizraki. Thank you.
Rok-Tahk.
So kind of a very interesting primary cast and guest cast for this. And I think that there's quite some potential here, quite with this talent. I'm kind of curious to see where this goes. But back to the episode itself and the plot. So yeah, it centers on Dal and kind of what's going on here. There are no translators allowed in this penal colony. Which name escapes me at this moment.
Vars, wasn't it?
It was like with a B or something, right?
Oh, I thought it was
Tars Lamora.
Tar.
That's Tars Lamora. It was the
Tars
name
Lamora,
of the place that they have to get out of. And so none of the prisoners can really speak to each other, I guess, unless there's two people from the same, not even the same species. They have to also speak the same language, which seems that would be kind of a smart policy if you were running a prison, I guess, just to prevent collaborations. And so, yeah, and they're grilling Dal about where is Zero, this Medusan, fugitive Zero, as they have dubbed them, which is because the Medusans don't. Well, Medusan, yeah, this is a non-binary character too,
Yeah,
right? Because the Medusans don't have gender.
Yeah, they do.
Which was interesting because the ambassador who was in the original series, they always referred to that person as a he, but that was the 1960s, and so maybe a different time. But it's interesting there. And so for some reason Zero takes a sort of an interest in Dal, right? Because maybe and kind of triggers this whole prison break. It's almost like an audition for Dal in Zero, because Zero is kind of trying to get to the protostar, as we learned through this episode, but we don't know that yet. And so there's this whole sequence where Dal goes on this prison, like trying to get away and trying to get from this to that, which is exciting, but it's all for naught because eventually Dal gets recaptured. But running into some of the other characters that are going to form this crew by the end of the episode, including Rok-Tahk and the rest. Sorry. And so, and then we meet Gwen, who is the daughter of the Inquisitor, or the
Diviner.
The Diviner. I want to call him the Inquisitor, but the Diviner,
who's like Star Wars vibes. You're getting I keep thinking too.
Yeah, the Diviner. I'm sorry. Who is I guess the warden of this place, of Tars Lamora. We meet Gwen, who's meeting up with a Kazon and is bringing what I've looked up is a Cation, Davan.
Yeah,
a young child Cation.
Little Cation. I like Cations.
Yes, they're little cat people.
But Zero, I think, did say why he took an interest in Dal. Because he was the only one who still believed he could escape.
Still had
and he needed
hope.
someone to actually kind of go for it,
Okay, yeah, that's good. I didn't quite capture that. So yes,
and the Diviner was
when he was talking to him in his mind.
Yeah, the Diviner also said we can't have hope among the unwanted because that's the one thing we can't have here. So I guess that was unusual that he still was hopeful that he could get off this place. Right,
and it's not clear how long they've been here, exactly, or how long Dal's been living here. I looked this up on Memory Alpha. This apparently is taking place in 2383, which would be only 2 years after what's going on in Star Trek Lower Decks and shows like that. This is around the era that Voyager, a few years after Voyager would have gotten home. So I'm kind of curious to see where this goes and if that's actually in fact the year. Yeah, and so, but because we have Cations, we have Kazons, we have Tellarites in this episode. Jankum Pog is a Tellarite who doesn't seem to know what a Starfleet ship is, though.
Oh yeah,
because the Tellarites are a member of the Federation.
That is an interesting point.
But he doesn't. But
we
don't really know.
They did say the Kazon has been bringing them just like outcasts and orphans.
they call them the unwanted, right? Like everybody who's in this prison is they're so I'm not even sure if this is a criminal facility or how these characters
Maybe
ended
a
up
bit
here.
of both.
Maybe a bit of
Yeah.
both.
So maybe he's disconnected from his teller, like he is a Tellarite, but maybe he just doesn't really associate or
He
with
has no
taking
knowledge of
young
his
or yeah.
Other than the argumentativeness.
Yeah.
right, which is of course that's genetics.
You couldn't fix it anyway, I bet.
Well,
you, bud.
Jacob can fix everything.
My favorite Tellarite is when he comes on Archer's ship on Enterprise. He's just like, I find this ship small and unimpressive. And Archer's just like, I find you small and unimpressive.
He's like, good. We know how to get this. Check it out when we talk about Star Trek Enterprise.
I do think they chose the perfect section of space to do this show because we've never seen it before. It seems to be the edge of the Delta Quadrant closest to the Federation in the Alpha and Beta quadrants, from what I can tell, with being like Cations there and Tellarites and this type of thing, and as well as Kazons and stuff. But that area of space, Voyager completely skipped over with the transport conduits. So we haven't seen any of that.
Yeah, I find that fascinating about like the Star Trek stuff as a whole. I mean, I guess Lower Decks is like a joke show, so it doesn't really matter if they step on any toe, like whatever. It doesn't really make a difference in their case, I think. Like you can explain away any like non-canon thing in Lower Decks, but I find it interesting that I feel like all of the Star Trek shows are they're being really cognizant not to step on anyone's toes. So like what they did with Discovery is pretty far out, like that doesn't really matter. So then their Picard's its own, like they're just kind of keeping everything separated, so it doesn't
in their own eras, because and I think that's a good idea, because I think what they were running into in the first couple seasons of Star Trek Discovery was that they're okay, we're going to set this like in the 10 years before like the original series, and you're kind of if Jaemeel was here, he would tell me canon doesn't matter, but I think it to a lot of fans it does, and so it was stepping on things and going, well, that doesn't make sense, and like why would this be happening then, and like it doesn't seem to sync up. And Strange New Worlds I think is going to have similarly a lot of those same issues still, but I think like with this show, they're like, if it is 2383, they're kind of around Lower Decks, but they're not in the same area of space. So I don't think a crossover or them running into each other is likely to happen. I think each of these shows can have their own vibe too, and have their own.
I like that they
audience.
do.
Yes, I think that's the good thing. Just more Star Trek. So there's something for everyone. You don't have to like every single thing, but there's something for you there. And especially, I think this one for sure, I think would be like definitely in like the preteens age. I thought maybe it would go a lot younger kids wise, but I think definitely like 12 to and up kind of, I think is where this show is aimed at. And I think it fits really well with that demographic. I think that kids will like it. So.
Yeah. And I think also the show is really going for visuals, like how
the ship shots are beautiful.
Yeah, and space, like we've seen some of the previews here, like just of what like some of the places they're going to go in this show and what they're going to look like, and they're really amazingly imagined. I'm curious to like see how that all plays out. And then of course the ship, Davan, as you're saying, like we see a bit of it in this episode. The USS Protostar.
It's reminiscent of, which is another Voyager nod, at least the saucer section of the Prometheus on Voyager.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of the Prometheus.
Had that pointed kind of front of the saucer, but the Prometheus had 4 nacelles, and this one only has 2, I think. But,
it's almost like a cross
in the
between...
middle there. It's like a third one in the middle there.
Something, or that's like the impulse engine, but it's almost like it's a cross to me between the Prometheus and Voyager. Like it's almost like a hybrid of those two ships. You look at it and you go, okay, like to your point, nods to Voyager, and the Prometheus was another Voyager ship, or not really. Well, it was a ship shown on Voyager where the Doctor transferred his program to the Alpha Quadrant, and they tussled with some Romulans with Andy.
And it was an experimental ship as well, which I think this one is as well. So
this one is as well. This one has an NX registry number, so NX 7 something or other. So which would put it in the era of like built around the time of like Voyager and these other shows, like in the Cerritos and different things. We got to find more about how long this ship is, because apparently the ship has been down there for years. We learn in this episode that the diviner has been the whole mining operation. He's not been mining for minerals or dilithium or anything else of value. It's all his prize that he's been seeking is the ship. And it's Rok-Tahk and Dal who stumble upon it, because after Dal is kind of captured and brought back in, he's accused of being in cat boots with
Fessa, you two are in cat boots.
With Zero, with fugitive Zero. Gwen, it seems like Gwen and Dal have a pre-existing relationship. Like they seem to know each other and just sort of even like and trust each other, but they're on sort of different sides in this place. Where she's Gwen is like a she works for her father, and her father seems to be a bad dude, along with the General Grievous guy.
Yeah, I wonder.
Dreadnought.
I wonder if they're going to get flashbacks or something, because it was just kind of slightly implied that they've already had a previous relationship. So I wonder if we'll get like a little bit of backstory, or if it was just kind of establishing that they knew one another. Because it was just slightly kind of into that. But I did like kind of the dynamic that they set up at the end of the episode, because that also kind of reminded me of Voyager. You have like someone amongst the crew that they were at odds with one another, they're technically enemies, and like now they kind of have to be a crew together. So
that's a good point.
That was kind of interesting.
Yeah. Davin, she made him eat the lychees, the honey lychees, with his face though. And then she only
I'd
gave
do
him
it.
a couple. Yeah,
They sound delicious.
honey lychees, yeah. But Gwen, she's like, you can have all the honey lychees you want, but like she's convinced that they want to capture Zero. Zero is a problem to the diviner and to this place, and they want to capture the Zero, put Zero back to work doing shady Medusan things, or something.
I think they were using them to do something, because if you noticed when they banished Dal to the surface, the guy they showed flashback when
Did you notice the Morn guys?
when Zero was saying they made me do unspeakable things, they had, is that what I don't know, there's one of them that when his eyes went silver and he was next to Dal pushing the thing on the surface. So I don't know if they were using them to be more compliant workers or something, but the guy with that had looked directly at Zero was on the surface working next to Dal.
Right.
So.
That's the same species that Morn is. We think, at least. We think there's a character named Morn on Deep Space Nine who's kind of like Norm from Cheers, and who apparently never shuts up. But that's the in-joke on Deep Space Nine, is that we never see Morn speak or hear Morn speak on the show. But the other characters constantly reference that. And so there's like kind of that flashback with Zero, and showing that Zero was being used by the diviner to like brainwash people to perhaps work on the surface in sort of a suicide mission, or sort of maybe we'll probably find out more about that. But effectively Gwen
you may want to
read
minds.
Read minds. Yeah, well, there's a lot of I'm sure a lot of like nefarious purposes you can put a Medusan at work at. They have a lot of abilities, and so so Dal's recruited. She's like, Gwen says to Dal, if you help me capture Zero, then I'll help you get out of here, right? Like I think that's kind of like the trade-off, and Dal's kind of willing to go along with this. So Dal but you have to go into deep mining. It was like you have to go into the core, and this is where Dal gets put with Rok-Tahk. They still don't. Yeah, they still don't have the translators and whatever. And so Rok-Tahk just growls at this point. Like there's no kid's voice yet. It's rawr. So you think I think Dal was referring to Rok-Tahk as goo guy up until this point, because there was some goo coming out of Rok-Tahk. I'm not sure why.
Said I broke your goo. I don't.
Yeah.
Broke your goo.
Broke the goo. What was going on with the goo?
I don't know if it was. He bumped into her, and then something he turned around, or she turned around, and then her breastplate fell off, and then he started calling them like, I broke your goo. So I didn't catch quite what they did when they bumped into them.
Davin, do you know what's going on with the goo?
I don't.
I'm lost on that, but that's okay. But the whole thing, what they were doing, like the elevator ride down, like, and it was like, you will die if you get hit by these rocks, or you will die if you fall off the rocks. But if you're tied to another prisoner, that's good. That's a thumbs up. No more X's. That was kind of funny. I was getting I was thinking more Rura Penthe. I was thinking about Star Trek 6 when they were going down that shaft with it was Iman, who was disguised as another being at that point, going down with McCoy and Kirk. But yeah, so like there's kind of like this whole, I don't know, it was so much harder with Rok-Tahk when they couldn't speak to each other and couldn't communicate with each other. And so like there's kind of like this tension, and we're not really sure what Rok-Tahk's saying. We only hear it from Dal's side of it. And through the course of it, like they start, I don't know, like Rok-Tahk's coming at him at one point, and then there's a cave in, but Rok-Tahk saves him from the cave in. But there was also, sorry, I skipped over. Dal kind of grabbed the mining laser and kind of cut up the cave. This whole thing.
I think he caused the cave in because he fell over, triggered it, split the wall in two, and then that caused the cave in, and then Rok-Tahk saved him.
Right. Yes. Thank you. You said it much better than I did. So, like, in terms of all the things, and then that is what unveils the ship. Like they're kind of, first they find a bunch of crystals all around, and these crystals apparently have value. So at first Dal thinks, I can buy my way out of here. I can buy my way out of this colony. But but then Rok-Tahk's like, look, it's a ship. And they still can't communicate to each other, but they walk up to it. They open the door. It just opens for Dal. Like he just puts his hand on it. And that's it.
This is where I was getting Star Wars vibes this whole episode too, because I'm like, I don't know what his species is, but like it would be so much easier if it was Star Wars. Could be like, it's the Force, it's fine. Everything is the Force as well.
Everything's the Force.
I'm just like, what's the explanation? Why is this guy so freaking lucky? Like everything just works magically well for him this episode. It goes so well.
It did have like 10% more Star Wars aesthetic than I really would have appreciated, but
yeah, especially
that kind of went away once they got on the ship.
Yeah, it definitely changed feeling once they were there. But like even the diviner was in like the breathing tube that they use for healing in Star Wars.
He's like Snoke. He just looked like
Snoke.
Snoke.
It was a giant, like he looked like Snoke, and I was like, what is like this? But yeah, that'll also was just the fact how lucky Dal is in everything he does. He just magically hits the one wall that reveals the ship they've been looking for years. Like, okay.
Just falls into it, and so that's kind of like the whole thing. It's like a series of unlikely circumstances kind of leads this whole thing to unveil. Now we'll find out if there's more to this than we're seeing, or if maybe the diviner wanted this to happen. Even who knows? Didn't seem like it at the end, but
no, he seemed pretty pissed. So.
Seemed pretty upset about it, but we'll see. And so, but once they get into the ship, which is pretty early, like they put the hand on it, opens, and then I guess it's only once they like start pushing buttons and they get the ship to power up that the translators kick in, right? Because they're still not understanding each other yet. And then they do, and then Rok-Tahk's voice, and they can understand each other. They have sort of a thing, and then Zero gets involved pretty quickly. I think we kind of see that Zero's been observing all this, kind of looking into it, and kind of comes in and does a lot of exposition going, this is what's going on, this is who I am, this is, we don't get a lot of information about they don't really reference the Federation. We hear the diviner talk about it a little bit, about how he doesn't want Gwyn to have all the information because the Federation could influence her or something like that.
Yeah, I guess he can sense that she's generally a good person deep down, as they show with saving the child. So I guess he probably knows that the Federation values would be pretty appealing to her. That's what I got from it anyways.
Just like in the Mirror universe, you can't let people know that people could have rights.
Yeah, exactly.
If you put these crazy ideas in their heads, they're going to it's anarchy, it's bedlam. So I like, and this is where the show was really starting to kind of come together for me, when they found the ship, and that's when they could finally talk to each other, and we certainly had the characters coming through. I thought that was really interesting. And then they're like, well, we need an engineer, so they go and they find Jankum Pogue, Jankum Pog, as voiced by Jason Mantzoukas. Yeah, they go, he's a Tellarite. I don't know how Dal knows what a Tellarite is, but they figured this out. They know this. This is it is known. It is known to speak to Game of Thrones, and they're like, well, you couldn't help us. He's like, what are you talking about? So all you have to do to get a Tellarite to do what you want is to tell them the opposite. It's opposite day always on the Teller.
Yeah, it's interesting.
He's like,
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say it was interesting about how much Dal knows and things, and had the language he speaks. Which what do they call it? The common? No.
Well, there was a scene between the diviner and Gwen where they're like, he's like, yeah, you can speak the common tongue, but it's so basic or whatever.
Yeah.
Because Gwen's whole thing is Gwen is like a linguist, I guess. Gwen speaks all these different languages. She makes this comment to the Grievous, to the Jedrock or whatever his name was, Dreadnought, that you're programmed with all these to do translation, but the diviner, my dad, he makes me do it, and he goes, well, there's reasons, you're being trained and whatever. So more on that. We got some commentary for Jaemeel. He's saying, what up jerks in? That's men Dukas' catch.
Hey, Jaemeel, did you see the little version of you on Dave's shoulder that was said it's not canon earlier on in the episode? Or said it doesn't matter. It's like,
it doesn't matter. I was like, this is canon.
You're always right there.
And he's always going, but it doesn't matter. I go, no, I know it doesn't matter, but it does.
I know, Jaemeel. I know. Did you catch the joke about the engineers, though? He's just like, who would want an argumentative engineer anyway? Because all of the engineers are always argumentative on Star Trek. Like,
I've never met an agreeable engineer.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't that the whole thing? When they kind of joke about it in Lower Decks too, but like that Scotty always inflates how much time it will take to fix something, and then he'll do it faster, and it'll be like a surprise. And he's like, it'll take weeks. They're like, I want it in a day. He's like, what?
He's like, okay.
Fine, all right.
There's that episode.
Didn't tell him how long it would really take, did you?
Yeah, when Scotty meets Geordi, and he goes, "You didn't tell your captain how long it would really take." And he goes, "Of course I did." And he goes, "You can't do that." How are you gonna get your reputation as a miracle worker? So they bring.
And plus, now he's always gonna want it that fast. He's just like, you just put yourself into a corner now, bud. So
good luck.
Got to be an engineer. Yeah,
right. So it's Dal, it's Jankum, it's Zero, it's Rok-Tahk. They're kind of working together. But Dreadnought goes to Gwen. Do you know what Dal is up to? And she goes, of course I do. She was teaching the Cation all these languages, by the way, the little Cation kid. This is kind of so Gwen starts going after them. They are right. Where are you? And contacting them, and then finding them in the caves, and then there's like this whole sting operation where Dreadnought says, you're being sentenced to the surface. And they go, nobody comes back from the surface. That's like a death sentence. And it's pretty fast. They put you in an encounter suit, and Dal goes up there, but it's all a ruse because they're Gwen kind of arranges for this surge to happen while they're pushing like this wheel on the surface. It's very confusing. I wasn't able to quite figure out what was going on.
Maybe it was a drill.
Maybe
drill or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and it seemed like it didn't go so well. Things were blowing up, but that was also that Dal would get away and then try to find the protostar again, and they could follow Dal. So it was kind of all a ruse. I don't know exactly when Murph came along in the episode. Murph is like that.
Rok-Tahk just kind of was like, I found a new person, because they showed Murph earlier. Just he talks to him when Dreadnought's in his face, and he's like, why don't you ask that guy? He's got a big mouth. And then later, I think Rok-Tahk shows up, and he's like, I found a new crew member. And it's Murph. And they're like, great.
Right, and they're like, the translator doesn't work for Murph.
No, it just makes like pet noises still.
Yeah,
the actual goo guy.
But he magically turns on the phasers later, so
the pew.
Hey, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
seems to have some sort of technological. He seems to be some sort of, maybe he's like biomimetic gel, maybe. Or like the Voyager's gel packs. Maybe he's a gel pack that evolved.
Because when you look
Voyager
in the
nods
background,
everywhere.
Jankum Pog is like tussling with him, and he actually stretches out over his shoulders at one point. He's got like a part of him draped around himself. So
Yeah. I'm kind of curious to see what Murph's role in this ship is going to be. Right. And then there's like this whole kind of standoff at the end where Dal's at the top of the ship. They're like, we gotta go. We gotta make a series of bad decisions, and we just gotta go for it because it seems like like it's over. Like they're gonna take the ship from them and they're gonna do whatever with Dal and the rest of them. But they're like, no, we gotta go or never. And that kind of kicks off the final act of this episode where they're going through. There's kind of like this whole thing between Gwen and Dal about, I knew you were in cat boots, and like I wasn't in cat boots, but now I am in cat boots, and working with them. And so I can't. Like, it was all happening so fast. I don't even remember all the specifics, but it's basically
also pure luck too. Like the ship only took off because all of the little robots shot the. Oh, is that your Murph?
It's cat boots.
Is that they're in cat boots? That's the Cation.
My cat boots.
Yeah, the ship only took off because all the robots triggered a landslide that rolled it off into a crevasse that like somehow ignited the engines. He flew off, and then somehow Dal stayed attached to the top of the ship, even though Zero was like spinning it in circles.
Yes.
Managed to fix the engine, the shields just in time not to get crushed, and then Murph magically triggered the torpedoes right at the magic time, and they got out. It was all just. Otherwise, if this is Star Wars, you'd be like, it's the Force, it's fine, everything works out.
It's Force, but
I don't know what the explanation is here. That's
everything just fell into place.
That was a gorgeous shot, though, with the phasers and just it was beautiful. I loved that whole sequence.
No, I agree. Like it was just like, yeah, get the pew pew buttons out. Let's get the torpedoes. Do we have torpedoes? I don't know. Maybe.
Hit them all to one
fuse.
Yeah, there was some funny things here. And like Zero was kind of being the pilot, and they're like, "Way to go, Zero!" And Zero's like, "I don't even know what I'm doing. I just built this body and built this thing the other day."
Yes,
Zero seems to be the only
Go
adult.
me!
I assume Zero's an adult anyway.
It gave me very much like, maybe it's just the way that his character's drawn, but it just reminded me of Portal, like Portal 2, because there's the little robot in Portal 2. If you play two players.
I assumed this was a robot coming in, but it's not a robot. Yeah.
Yeah, his build looks like just like the Portal 2 one. It just kind of, his humor kind of reminds me of Portal for some reason.
I thought that Jankum was very like the Jankum character very funny through this particular sequence too.
Making a series of bad decisions.
And he was like,
that was a good line.
Yes, Jankum Pog is aware.
I love the I am aware.
So it's definitely an interesting crew that they get. Like I guess it's the 6 of them because Gwen is there, and there's this whole fight sequence where she has like this golden liquid stuff that comes off of her arms, and she can use it to fight.
Cool weapon.
Kind of an interesting weapon. Didn't seem to work too much on Rok-Tahk. Rok-Tahk was like, whatever, like get out of here. But the rest of them were having a hard time dealing with Gwen.
Did we get the name of Rok-Tahk's species? I
don't think so. The name of Gwen's species does have a name though. Gwen's species is the Val-Nakot.
Oh, yeah. And they're the only two left.
Gul Dukat?
Yeah, they're the only two left of their species too. They do mention that. That's right. And then Rok-Tahk, I don't think we know the species. Oh yeah, Brickar.
Okay.
A Brickar.
I do like that. It's nice to see. I know I think I remember hearing a lot of complaints about the character designs and stuff, but I mean, like when you do Star Trek, you're very much limited to just like humanoid looking aliens, and I guess they still are. I still have like 2 arms and 2 legs, but it's kind of neat to see like you're not stuck with, putting prosthetics on a person anymore, and what they can just kind of come up with something totally brand new.
Right. Yeah. This is computer animation versus like what Lower Decks is doing, which is more traditional, like 2D animation. I'm not a huge fan of like the modern Pixar animation myself, but if the story's good enough and I'm into this world, it really doesn't matter. Like it's just like I guess I find some of like the disparity between like some people's arms are like this thick, like they're thicker than tree trunks, and other people's arms are like this thin.
Yeah.
That's just kind of like my own personal issue with like sort of like the way they do this style of animation. But aside from that, like they're like Rok-Tahk would be a hard character to pull off, other than a CGI version in real life, right? Like a live action practical. All of them would be. So I think that they could be very creative, very out there with these designs, and I think it works. They're all very distinct. When I first saw them, I was like, well, there's no Starfleet uniforms, and I love my uniforms.
No recognizable, alien species other than him being a Tellarite, but that was kind of hard to tell from like
I couldn't tell he was a Tellarite when this image first came out. No, like
it looks very different even from the newest designs. As I hadn't seen it I think I don't remember if we watched it for the podcast before, or Michael and I watched it on our own, but I'd never seen that episode of the Tellarites for the original series, and I was like, what the heck is that?
Those are scary.
Like eyes.
They have like the hooves for hands.
Yeah, but like the eye sockets, they didn't.
It
was just black, and I was like, "Oh my god, this thing is a nightmare." And then I saw the Enterprise episode later where they kind of changed it, and I was like, "Oh, that's a little better."
They gave it a little bit better, yeah. But in Journey to Babel, they're like, "You Vulcan, how do you vote on the mission of Corridon?" And he's just got it's a lot. Yeah, I get. Yeah, they've come a long way with the Tellarites. And then they get out of there. They make it. It was kind of an exciting finale. And
super sad though. They left the kitty, and the kitty's just watching them fly away, and just like everyone else is mean to the kitty. You got to take the kitty.
I know. I was so upset. I'm like,
it was
better
super
go back.
sad. It like kind of almost ruined the episode for me. I was like, well, that's a terrible ending.
Do you think that this will stay just these 6 like as the crew? Because they say we need like 20 people to run this ship.
Yeah. Well.
Or will they go back?
Well, or 6 people in a Janeway hologram.
Or if you have 37 appendages, it would work too.
Yeah. It's interesting because they really kind of left it like, okay, we have this Janeway hologram that's going to kind of tell them how to operate the ship, I'm guessing. But like they don't, as he said, he's like, let's go. I have no idea. That's a lot of stars. Like they don't really have a direction. So it's kind of really up in the air. I mean, obviously they're going to be pursued by the diviner, but they don't really have a destination in mind or know where they're going. So,
right? No, they don't. They're just happy to be out of there. Let's talk. Let's talk about the ending here because let's not bury the lead. But we got Captain Janeway, a holographic version. This was one of the early images they released, and now Davan, you may notice that the comm badge here is like the Voyager comm badge, but the one we get in today's episode was actually this newer kind of comm badge design. I don't think I've seen before. I don't have an image of it right now, but that was kind of what Rok-Tahk had picked up on the console and what they were using. It
looked a bit like a TNG communicator. It was just a.
It kind of looked like almost like a Discovery comm badge as well.
It's very shiny. It's very shiny.
Yeah. But Jessica, I think you're a Voyager fan, right? And are you a Janeway fan?
I guess so. I'm not like super like I'm still Picard's my favorite. But like Voyager is interesting for me because like I always loved TNG, but Voyager was really the only Star Trek one that I actually watched live. Like this was my show that I watched as the episodes air. I didn't actually get into Deep Space Nine. I'm not sure why, but like TNG was always like in syndication for me. Obviously, I was born in '86, so it was already kind of But Voyager I actually watched week to week. I watched the whole thing and watched up to the finale. So I guess like it is my live Star Trek show that I actually saw from beginning to end. So
yeah. Right. And so this Janeway hologram, Davan, as like the mentor to this crew, like we have no idea if this is what the potential here. Like I'm sure it's gonna be good.
Didn't she say something about training? Like she was expecting to like be training recruits or cadets or something like that. By this
well, I did pull some of her clips here. Let's hear.
Did someone ask for help?
I am Hologram Janeway, your training advisor for exploring the greater galaxy.
And
I didn't know they'd actually call her Hologram Janeway. That was pretty funny.
I am Hologram Janeway.
Janeway.
Just
I
so
laughed
you
out loud
know,
when that happened.
I am not Janeway. I'm Hologram Janeway.
On behalf of Starfleet, welcome aboard.
This is a very welcoming hologram.
On behalf of Starfleet, right? So they're like welcoming on people who aren't Starfleet onto this Starfleet ship. It's a very strange situation here.
It's like, here, do you want our ship? We don't know who you are, but it's yours.
Yeah. Would you like the USS Protostar?
Yeah, I'm guessing we're gonna get. Saw that.
That's for you, Jessica.
Thank you.
DS9 is glorious. That's
glorious. Glory awaits you on Cardassia, Jessica.
Yeah, I know everyone says it's like the top one in terms of storytelling and overarching story time and stuff. So
and acting.
Yeah.
And acting. There's some great acting in it. And some damn sloppy work. That's,
not good enough. Not good enough.
Not good. No, but there's a.
I love Janeway. Janeway's fantastic.
I like her. I like Voyager in general. Like, I guess I don't know. Maybe it's because it was the one I watched live, but I liked all the characters. I mean, they had some weird plot lines, like her.
They did. Yeah.
Her relationship with the hologram. I wonder if this hologram is. Did she go back to the hologram?
This hologram should get together with an Irish hologram in Fairhaven.
Or Da Vinci. But yeah. I'm excited. I'm kind of excited.
Yeah, only children start on the first chap.
I've watched Move Along Home.
You're stuck on the second chap, buddy.
Because of the podcast. Alamarine.
Does the Janeway hologram have rights? Photons be free, Davan.
Oh, for sure. Oh yeah, photons be free.
Yeah, I'm curious. So it will be interesting to see how this hologram comes through. Now, they did announce also we will have Robert Beltran will be part of this show in some way. I don't know if it's a Chakotay hologram or if it's just Chakotay. It's the real Chakotay, but that's yet to be seen or heard, I guess.
Or is he captaining a ship, in that area of the Delta Quadrant, since it's kind of seems to be the Federation is kind of bleeding out into that area of the Delta Quadrant. He could be like on that frontier because he is a captain in this. They call him Captain Chakotay. I think he's the character he's playing.
Was that part of the announcement? Because we know that Janeway
I saw that somewhere.
Yeah, I got some. I guess I don't know if it's spoilers. I saw them in the Internet Movie Database when I was checking the characters. So yeah, he's there, and there's a couple other Starfleet people there too. So
be Chef Chakotay. He'll be running a kitchen somewhere, but it will be vegetarian, and there will be no pudding because he finds it slimy. Yes, and well, we know that Janeway was promoted to Admiral when they got home because we saw her in Nemesis, and in the Star Trek Voyager relaunch books, which are not canon, but I still think they have value. They announced that like everyone in the Voyager crew got like promoted 2 ranks up when they got home because they were gone so long. Poor Harry. Not Harry. He had to stay at Ensign, but everyone else got promoted.
Poor guy. I just saw him on TikTok the other day. It's like, I don't know if it's his account or if it's his wife's. And like she was watching Voyager and like obviously, I mean he's aged, obviously. And she like was looking at him and looked at him. She's like, that guy looks nothing like you.
That's a good
poor guy.
So that was sort of the end of the episode, though. With like we got the Voyager and like here's your ship, here's your crew, and like I'm excited to see kind of where it goes next. Now that we've already saw a preview scene where I don't know if you've seen it, both of you, but there's a kind of a scene they already released where it's Janeway talking to this crew. It's probably the very first scene of the next episode that we're gonna get, and just kind of explaining things and kind of doing some exposition, and like she even calls I know you, tell her, right? And even if you don't know me or what Starfleet is or what the ship is about. So I'm kind of really curious to go see what that is. But as we do here on every Live Long podcast, we'd like to do like what are some fun facts or details discovered by Dave, as we would put it. And so just a couple of things to note about this episode. This is the first episode of Star Trek Prodigy, of course, and it is the first feature-length episode since Enterprise's Broken Bow. So this is I don't think every episode's gonna be 45 minutes or so. I don't think. This is the first Star Trek episode not to feature any guest stars since Enterprise's Observer Effect. So this was all main cast. And for the first time in franchise history, Gene Roddenberry was credited in the closing credits, not in the opening credits.
Oh.
They saved all the credits for the end of this episode, though, because I don't think they wanted to spoil the Janeway thing or something, maybe. Even though it was on the promos and everything. That's what it seemed like to me. But I did like that credit sequence. It was very nice. Good music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they didn't use the full like title sequence tonight. It was only like it was kind of a condensed one. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they'll move it to the front. I think
they'll move it to the front. Yeah, because but it was like
that nice transition into the coals of the mine thing at the beginning.
This is the first episode since Endgame, which is the Voyager finale, to be set primarily in the Delta Quadrant, and as such, it includes the first on-screen appearances of native Kazons. It also references the Window of Dreams, a star cluster previously shown in Voyager's episode Body and Soul.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that either. And this episode features several species typically associated with the Alpha Quadrant, including Acacian, as we mentioned, a Tellarite, and a Lurian. What's a Lurian?
Is that Morn species?
That's Morn species. I was like, oh yeah,
okay.
That is what it is. And this is the first time we've had a Medusan since that episode from the original series. Is there in truth no beauty? And that's pretty much all the details to discover right now because it's a brand new show. But let's get into some ratings and let's see how much we really like this. So let's this is a fun part.
What do we compare it to? It's kind of hard to come up with a number, isn't it? On the first one.
Right. Dave, Davan, and Jessica. Okay, so let's rate this one. I'll go first. So out of 10, and you can use points and half numbers here.
Compared to other premiere episodes of other series or something like that.
I'm just comparing it to any other Star Trek episode I've watched, whether it be Lower Decks, whether it be because I do this many times a week, and I'm just like, how much did I enjoy it? Really is what my scale is. Like out of 10, how much did I get out of it? And I'd say this is an 8 for me. Like it didn't blow me away, but I was engaged. I liked it. I was left wanting more, and I'm definitely feeling good overall. Davan, you can contemplate there.
Well, I was definitely left wanting more. I found it all very good. However, I have a feeling I'm going to rate a lot of these ones that follow a lot higher just because there's going to be a lot more ship and Janeway and that type of thing. So I'm going to say 7 point... Yeah, 7.5. Yeah, all right. Sorry, it was a hard decision for me because it's like the first number.
It's the first number.
Everything else has to follow.
You can change it later if you want to.
I did that once before. That's true.
Yeah. Jessica?
Yeah, it's tough because, like I said, this kind of I'm going. Sorry, all Star Wars this episode, but like the newer stuff. Like I liked the intro to episode 7, but it was very much like it only laid the groundwork. So I was like, it's very much dependent on what comes next. Like if you pose all these questions and then the answers are crap, then I feel like it is going to retroactively like kind of come back and make this like less good. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I was just kind of think of it too as like not to be too biased as like an adult that has watched older Star Trek and also trying to see it from a perspective of maybe like a young kid who's never watched any Star Trek stuff before. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it was engaging, like it was interesting. I kind of feel like it played to, I guess what's more popular among younger kids now too. So I feel like maybe I'm totally off base, but I feel like it might intrigue like kids enough too. So I thought it was good. It was enjoyable. And I'm intrigued. Yeah, they had a lot of like mystery out there. Like who's this diviner? What's his plan? Why is there a Starfleet ship in the middle of the Delta Quadrant? So yeah, I'd give it an 8 too. I thought it was a good solid episode.
Okay, so that didn't change our average too much. So you and I are at 8. Davan about a half point below us. As of right now, and this only came out today. It was at an 8.0. It's now at an 8.1 with 60 votes at this point. on IMDb, which is kind of like our guidepost for how this is going. And we hadn't mentioned this too much yet, or at all actually. But this show is created by the Hageman brothers, Kevin and Dan. That they're the ones behind it. And all I hear is that they are incredible geniuses, and we're in store for some great things. It might be marketing, who's to say? But they are the creators of the show. They wrote this episode.
I noticed also they brought in Michael Giacchino, so he's the composer for the Star Trek films. What's it called?
The Star Trek,
Kelvin universe,
the Kelvin timeline, Star Trek Into Darkness, Star Trek Beyond, and all those. But and I like that music from Star Trek, the 2009 movie. But my criticism is, and I always get Jaemeel, if he was here, he would tell me I'm wrong. But he's always here. He's in the comments. But the Michael Giacchino score is good. It's like do 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 do. It's got this build. Dun, 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 and whatever. But then like they basically just reused it in Star Trek Into Darkness and Beyond, like with very little mix up. And I get it's kind of like their theme, but when they used to like make the old movies with like Shatner in them, like there was a brand new score every movie, and it was like a powerful orchestral score. So all I'm saying is, I think Michael Giacchino is a good composer. I would just like a little bit more variety.
He tends to do a lot of callbacks and stuff. Like he was also the composer for Lost, and he kind of had a theme that he would weave in throughout, and he would call different things. He's also very punny. If you ever look up his soundtracks for shows, like he always makes puns. Like I think the theme, I don't remember if it's the main theme on Star Trek is Enterprising Young Men. It's one of them. But he has like really hilarious ones for Lost too. Like there's a terrible episode where Charlie almost gets hung, and then the title of the song is like Charlie Hangs Around. So like he has very punny. I just want to look up the names of these after the show's over to see if you had punny names for the music in this show.
Yeah. So Jameel's saying it's like their version of their theme song, like just all the shows. So it's really just the Kelvin timeline is really just a 3-episode TV show. Or 3 2-parters. Comment here from Captain RGD. Hope we can finally stop the constant haters with the show. I don't know. It might be premature to quash the haters. After just
one haters for a show that just premiered?
Yeah, no, there were. I remember when they showed this thing. He's right. Like they're right. People were like, oh, they don't look like Star Trek characters. How come they look like that? They're so different. They don't match the rest of the show. And people were like pissy about it already. People just, I don't know. I have this discussion about a lot of fandoms, but I find that people are so reluctant to change now. Like they're stuck at a certain time in like the 80s or the 90s, and they just don't want to progress past that. Like they don't want anything to move forward. They have their little nostalgia goggles on, and like anything that doesn't match their expectation of what the show should be, they just like crap on it, whether it's good or not. Like, so.
Yeah, I agree. I like even among the Live Long and Podcast community, this show has been a bit controversial. Like my brother Jeff is just like, no, it's not. I get that this show it's aimed at children, but I think adults can enjoy it too. And for me, it's like it's part of the Star Trek universe, and anything that's part of the Star Trek universe, I am going to take note of.
Because it's all canon.
It's all canon, whether that matters or not, Jaemeel. So. So like I just think that will this win people over? Like Lower Decks, like I was doing that Lower Decks podcast in season 1, and like other people like Jeff included was like, no, this is bad, they're making fun of Star Trek, and they're insulting, and they're I guess they're like kind of like this idea like
it's glorious.
It's so good. I haven't watched the second season yet, but it's
wow, you're in for a treat.
You haven't seen Lower Decks?
No, I watched season 1. And the only thing that annoyed me was, and it's just me, it's nothing to wrong with the show, is the same reason I didn't like Archer in season 1 as much. Is just like sometimes the main character is a bit much. You're like, okay, or tone it down a little. Like,
are you talking like a Mariner?
Yeah, Mariner was a bit much. So I was like, oh my god. But
they did some good stuff with her in season 2. I thought she was less of a what Jodie calls her space Jesus, even though, like we told Jodie, Cisco is space Jesus. But like there's kind of like this criticism that the main characters are sort of invincible. Some of the newer ones like Burnham and Mariner and maybe Dal will also we'll see.
He did have like which also, sorry, it's a Star Wars moment where they were shooting straight at them point blank. They were running at the ship, and I was like, there was like 30 bolts, and I was like, how is no one shot right now? Like, it was pretty impressive that no one got hit as they were running towards the ship. But
They were on the Star Wars planet, but luckily they've left that planet now.
yeah, of the stars.
He's like, where do you want to go? He's just like,
that never hit anything. Lucky them.
Yeah, I think
there's so many stars.
So many stars. Just I don't know, go to one, right?
Go.
Like they're like there are millions of ships in the galaxy. I think that Zero tells Jank and Pog here.
Yeah.
They don't know anything about each other. These 6 don't know anything about each other yet, too, right? They're just kind of like, well, Gwyn and Dal seem to know each other a little bit, but otherwise, like, yeah, there's, and I guess the fact that Zero can read minds would, if we can trust Zero,
That's gonna get annoying, probably for the crew, I would imagine.
yeah, right. Not well, maybe not for Rok-Tahk because she was all excited.
Do you have telepathic powers too? Maybe I'm telepathic too.
Maybe.
She's like, oh my god, I am telepathic.
Okay, so we're gonna close the books tonight on the premiere of Star Trek Prodigy. I hope that you enjoyed listening and were watching wherever you are. I hope you both, Davan and Jessica, you enjoyed speaking about this tonight. We're going to be back in a week to talk about the next episode, which I don't think we have a title for this yet. This was actually 2 episodes tonight. This is considered to be like kind of almost like a 2-parter. Then the next episode is called Starstruck.
Oh, I thought it was going to be called "We Tricked You, Janeway."
I have to hold on. I have to go get that.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's
say
season
something
2
about-
Lower Decks. You can look forward to that.
Oh
Yeah,
okay.
it's the Packleds and like we.
Oh, back.
Oh, I got to play that clip now. Packled.
It's the best clip.
We tricked you, Janeway. We never wanted peace. Rumdar was a spy. What did you learn, spy? The Enterprise has the biggest bathrooms ever.
They keep calling Captain Freeman Captain Janeway because they think all women captains are just called Captain Janeway.
That's amazing. I love that.
And they call the Cerritos the Enterprise because for the same reason they think all Starfleet ships are the Enterprise. So the Enterprise destroy another Enterprise. All right, so that concludes it for tonight. We'll be back in a week to talk about Starstruck. I guess it's technically the 3rd episode.
Oh, is it? Okay. It's like a Way of the Warrior thing all over again.
Yeah, and it's gonna throw us off forever. Sorry, I'm multitasking here. Anyway, so we'll be back in a week. Check out also, we do lots of other Star Trek podcasts here on Live Long and Podcast. Monday nights, we continue our quest to watch every original series episode, not in order. We have been doing all 79 of them, jumping around from episode to episode. We just this past Monday, we did the Deadly Years, which is the one where they all get old. It causes them to all age very fast. And we only have like 3 episodes left to go in that podcast, but you can of course go back and watch any of the ones you want there. The one we're doing next is called By Any Other Name, which is a really fun episode where the Enterprise kind of gets taken over and these aliens can turn you into kind of dehydrated discs. Or like hexagonal cubes, and we did it on
Vacuum desiccated quark.
It's kind of like that, yeah. And it's they can reconstitute you and things like that. We did it on Star Trek Radio Theater like way a long time ago. It was one of the funnest ones I ever did because I got to play the bad guy in that one, and it was yeah. And I just for some reason
they like Kurt wins by like sexing up the girl. Is that what it is?
Yeah, basically, yeah. He does that in a lot of episodes, but yeah, he wins by seducing her,
yeah,
and everything. So we're doing that
The
one.
right hook and the right look.
Right, exactly. With that episode, so we got 3 left for the original series, and then we got The Cage, which is going to be our second last episode, which is the original pilot, and then our final episode is going to be All Our Yesterdays. And when that podcast ends in about 3 weeks' time, we're going to be following that up with a Star Trek Enterprise podcast that will be led by Jody Simpson and Adam Woodward on Monday nights. We're going to be watching every episode of Enterprise in a row, and then we also have on Tuesday nights Star Trek Deep Space Nine, watching all of those episodes in order. We're into the 4th season. We just talked about the Sons of Moog, which was I thought a really good episode. And then we're going to be talking about an episode called Bar Association next, which is where Quark, who's the bar owner there, his staff form a union. So we do all those ones. Plus, we have this other thing we do called Star Trek Radio Theater, where we reenact the Star Trek scripts. Now, we've been on hiatus because it's just been a busy few months. But we're going to be coming back. We're going to do one episode in November. And then in December, as we did last year, we're going to be doing a movie. A whole movie. We're going to be doing First Contact and Star Trek The Next Generation's second movie. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We're really excited. We're going to, of course, get both of you in for that and everybody else who we can. We can do up to 10 people on this new platform that we're using now. So
I want to be Lily.
You want to be Lily?
She's my favorite.
I want to be Zephram Cochrane. I want to be Lily.
Yeah, but I got that one got shot down. I like Lily better anyway.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna see how it all pans out.
Just imagine though, Lily with my voice.
Yeah, you broke your little ships. And then so that's all the radio theaters. We did Star Trek Lower Decks. We did all those things. Plus, we have 2 other channels not related to Star Trek. One's called Super Mater Brothers Podcasting, where we talk about movie, TV. We talk about movie and TV that's not Star Trek, reality shows like Survivor, Big Brother, Netflix shows like The Serpent, and documentaries like Tiger King. Plus, we like Marvel Cinematic Universe podcasts, or content. We've done like Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. We're going to be doing Eternals in the coming weeks. And lastly, we have a channel called Trivial Debates, where we argue about movie, TV, sports, and more in a game show format. What am I doing here? Sorry, guys, I'm so not ready because full screen mode, Dave. That's what you need. Here we go. So this coming Sunday, Sunday morning, we're doing a Halloween themed episode, 10 a.m. Eastern. Davan, you're in on this. You're contestant number 3. I'm going to be hosting. And we got Adam Woodward in, who's part of our Monday night original series and soon to be Enterprise podcast. And we have a newcomer, Rajesh Cuddy, a pal of Jaemeel Robinson's, who is coming in. I believe he does the Trivioki. Do you know Rajesh, Jessica? Are you?
No.
No. Okay.
I've never gone to
the
Trivioki with Jaemeel.
He's Jameel's ringer to take me down.
We got some interesting questions coming up, including on the movie question. We're going to have which modern horror franchise's main character will endure for the coming century. So whether that's Freddy Krueger or whoever, who are they going to be? Which because we think about certain horror characters of legend. Who will remain a legend, I guess. TV, who is the most powerful TV witch? We're going to be talking about. Music, what's the best song to kick off a Halloween playlist? In the history round, we're going to be talking about which mythical demon is the most terrifying. Our sports category is going to be who is the scariest pro sports team mascot. And in the wild card round, we're going to be talking about what is the correct age to stop trick-or-treating, if there is one. So we're going to find all that out. Check that out Sunday on Trivial Debates channel. Okay.
I'm guessing Gritty is going to make an appearance in that episode.
We're going to see.
I find him somewhat endearing, but if I saw him in a dark alleyway, I'd probably be pretty terrified.
Oh, and rightly so. And of course, you need to check out Davan's podcast. It's called Locutors of Trek. It is a fantastic Star Trek podcast, which is very like you guys deep dive into different subject matters. You do that with your friend Dave and a different Dave. What you got anything coming up on Locutors of Trek?
Yep, we do. We have an episode coming up on relationships, the relationships of Star Trek, and also a segment called the Writer's Room coming up that Dave's brother Jeff will be taking part in. But maybe go back and check out our 4th supplemental episode before checking out Prodigy, which is called the Janeway Protocols, and is all about Captain Janeway. And I kind of bring a thesis in hand to that episode, where I think that because I kind of delved into her backstory before Voyager and all that kind of thing, and it kind of enlightens you on the character a little bit, where she kind of succeeded beyond any reasonable expectation given where she was kind of coming from. It's a good episode. Yeah.
Well, I look forward to listening to it. You know,
Coffee. I beat the Borg with it.
we might. She did beat the Borg with.
Did
coffee.
she ever hit a Borg with like a mug of coffee? I can't remember.
Yeah.
There's coffee in that nebula.
Classic.
Okay, well, let's sign off for the tonight. Star Trek Prodigy, Lost and Found. I guess it was season 1, episode N2. So will next week only be like half an hour? I guess it might be, right? We're gonna see. Okay, well, thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Davan. This has been this has been great. I really enjoy this. I'm looking forward to doing another 9 or whatever we're doing, I guess, for the next few weeks. We're also going to be doing Star Trek Discovery, or I'm going to be doing that with your husband, Michael, and Adam Woodward starting November 18th. So I'm going to have to, that's going to be fun when I have to do both of those in the same night. And with that, let's have a sound clip to take us away. The new hologram Janeway.
I am Hologram Janeway, your training advisor for exploring the greater galaxy.